You have been bleeding power your entire life and you never even noticed the wound. It was never a dramatic injury, never something obvious enough for you to stop and confront. Instead it was quiet, slow, almost invisible. Every unnecessary reply, every emotional reaction, every attempt to explain yourself to people who were never interested in understanding you carved another thin line into your authority. You believed you were defending yourself, proving your worth, protecting your reputation. But in reality you were surrendering control piece by piece. Every time you responded to someone who did not deserve your words, you handed them a fragment of your focus. Every time you argued with someone committed to misunderstanding you, you gave them a lever to move your emotions. And emotions, once manipulated, become chains. The world is full of people who do not seek truth or clarity. They seek reactions. They seek attention. They seek the subtle satisfaction of knowing they can provoke you whenever they wish. The moment you respond impulsively, the moment you feel compelled to justify yourself, you have already lost ground. This is the brutal truth that weak men never fully understand and powerful men never forget. Your attention is not free. It is the most expensive currency you possess. Time cannot be recovered once it is spent. Focus cannot be restored once it has been scattered across trivial conflicts. Your attention determines the direction of your life. Wherever it flows, your energy follows. Wherever your energy flows, your future is built. Yet most people spend this currency recklessly. They invest it in arguments that lead nowhere, in people who do not respect them, in endless cycles of emotional reaction. They give hours of their mental space to individuals who would never sacrifice a minute of their own comfort in return. It is the equivalent of pouring gold coins into a river and wondering why you remain poor. Centuries ago, one of the most observant analysts of power recognized this pattern with terrifying clarity. He watched political alliances collapse, rivalries escalate, and entire careers fall apart simply because leaders could not control their reactions. Rulers destroyed themselves by responding to every insult, by chasing approval, by trying desperately to control how others perceived them. And through these observations one principle emerged with absolute certainty. The one who chases becomes smaller. The one who withdraws becomes powerful. The ruler who pursues every critic appears desperate. The one who explains himself to every detractor appears insecure. But the ruler who remains silent, who allows accusations to dissolve in the air without response, becomes something far more intimidating. Silence creates distance. Silence creates uncertainty. Silence forces others to question themselves. Because silence is never empty. Silence is a message. It declares that certain voices are not worthy of response. It communicates that you operate on a level where trivial disputes cannot reach you. When someone attacks you and you remain unmoved, they do not feel victorious. They feel irrelevant. This understanding forms the foundation of a powerful philosophy, the philosophy of silence. Power does not shout to prove its existence. It does not chase validation or defend itself against every provocation. True power remains still while others exhaust themselves trying to provoke it. Think about the difference between two individuals in a confrontation. One reacts instantly, raising his voice, arguing passionately, trying to win the exchange. The other listens, says little, and allows the storm of words to pass without visible disturbance. Instinctively people perceive the second individual as stronger. Not because he dominated the conversation, but because he refused to be controlled by it. Silence disrupts the expectations of those who seek to manipulate you. People who provoke you are not searching for understanding. They are searching for control. They want to pull emotional strings and watch you dance. The moment you refuse to play, their strategy collapses. Most individuals never learn this lesson because they are conditioned from childhood to respond immediately. They are taught that every accusation requires a defense, that every criticism requires a reply. Yet the most effective leaders throughout history often practiced the opposite. They conserved their words the way a strategist conserves his forces. They did not rush into every battle. They chose their moments carefully. There is an ancient strategic metaphor that captures this perfectly. A cunning creature survives not by confronting every danger but by recognizing which traps must be avoided entirely. A powerful creature dominates not by attacking constantly but by choosing battles worthy of its strength. When intelligence and restraint combine, power becomes unstoppable. But most people today behave differently. They react to every comment, every message, every hint of criticism. They chase arguments the way an uncontrolled animal chases moving objects, exhausting themselves without purpose. Their energy becomes scattered across hundreds of meaningless interactions. You will not live that way any longer. You will understand that real influence is quiet. It does not rush to justify itself. It does not beg to be recognized. It simply exists with such calm certainty that the world eventually adjusts around it. When you master the discipline of silence, something remarkable happens. You stop playing games designed by others. You stop reacting to provocations that were never meant to benefit you. Instead, you begin designing the game itself. And in your game, the most powerful move is often the absence of any move at all. To understand the true force behind silence, you must understand what happens inside the mind of someone who is ignored. This is not guesswork. Modern neuroscience has revealed something astonishing about human psychology. Social rejection activates many of the same neural pathways as physical pain. Being ignored does not simply irritate people. It hurts them in a very real, biological sense. When you refuse to acknowledge someone who expected your response, their brain begins searching desperately for explanations. Did they offend you? Did they lose your respect? Did they miscalculate their position in your life? The uncertainty becomes unbearable because human beings are wired to seek closure. Instead of receiving a response, they receive a void. And the human mind cannot tolerate an unanswered void. It begins filling that silence with speculation. They replay every interaction they have ever had with you. They examine past conversations, tone of voice, small gestures they barely noticed before. They search for hidden meanings in words that were never meant to carry such weight. At night their thoughts return to the same question again and again: what happened? In many cases they will even begin writing messages they never send. They rehearse apologies, explanations, and arguments inside their minds. Entire conversations unfold internally while you remain completely absent from the process. Without realizing it, you have become a silent presence dominating their mental space. This is the strange paradox of ignoring someone. By saying nothing, you often occupy more of their thoughts than if you had argued with them directly. Your silence becomes a puzzle they cannot solve. The reason for this lies deep within human nature. People crave recognition. From early childhood they learn to associate attention with value. When someone important to them suddenly withdraws attention, it disrupts their sense of identity. They feel smaller, uncertain, unsettled. And because the mind seeks resolution, it often transforms that uncertainty into obsession. They try harder to gain your reaction. They adjust their behavior, hoping to trigger some acknowledgement from you. Sometimes they attempt humor. Sometimes they attempt confrontation. Sometimes they attempt sympathy. But the underlying motivation remains the same. They want to break the silence because the silence forces them to confront their own insecurity. Understanding this psychological mechanism does not mean using it with cruelty. It means recognizing that your attention has consequences. Giving it freely diminishes its value. Withholding it strategically amplifies its influence. Weak individuals beg for attention because they fear invisibility. Strong individuals understand that the absence of attention can be more powerful than its presence. This leads to the next discipline: strategic withdrawal. Strategic withdrawal is not the same as disappearance. Disappearance suggests weakness, avoidance, or retreat. Strategic withdrawal is controlled distance. It is the ability to remain present in the world while refusing to be emotionally accessible to everyone within it. A master of this discipline can sit in the same room with others and still remain unreachable. He listens without absorbing unnecessary tension. He observes without becoming entangled in every conversation. His mind is focused elsewhere, anchored in priorities that exist beyond the immediate environment. This cannot be faked for long. People eventually recognize whether someone truly possesses internal control or is merely pretending. Strategic withdrawal must become part of your identity. It is a mindset that governs where your energy flows and where it stops. Most people scatter their attention everywhere. They respond instantly to every message, involve themselves in every argument, insert themselves into every discussion. By doing so, they unintentionally make themselves common. When something is constantly available, it loses its value. Scarcity, on the other hand, creates demand. When people cannot easily access your time, they begin to appreciate it. When your responses are measured rather than automatic, they begin to treat your words with greater seriousness. When your presence is selective, it becomes something others notice and respect. This does not require arrogance or hostility. It requires discipline. You choose which conversations deserve your attention. You choose which conflicts deserve your participation. Everything else receives nothing. As you practice this discipline consistently, something subtle begins to change. People start wondering where you are and what occupies your focus. Your absence becomes a form of influence because it introduces mystery into your interactions. And mystery has always been one of the most powerful forces in human perception. Individuals who reveal everything about themselves quickly become predictable. Those who reveal little become fascinating. Others project their own assumptions onto the silence, often imagining depth and complexity where there may simply be calm restraint. The less you reveal unnecessarily, the more space you create for others to wonder. And wonder is the birthplace of influence. Not everyone deserves your silence. Some individuals deserve complete removal from your attention altogether. Learning to recognize these people is essential if you want to protect your energy and maintain control over your life. First, there are those who actively work against you. They criticize your efforts, distort your intentions, and celebrate your setbacks. Engaging with such individuals rarely produces anything constructive. Every response you give them elevates their position because it confirms they can disturb your peace. Ignoring them removes their platform. Without your reaction, their hostility becomes noise without an audience. Second, there are those who exist primarily as critics. These individuals create little yet comment on everything. They observe from the sidelines, analyzing and judging without contributing meaningful effort themselves. Their words often carry the illusion of authority, but behind that illusion lies emptiness. Responding to them pulls you into endless debates that produce no progress. Let their voices dissolve into the background while your actions continue moving forward. Third, there are the emotional parasites. These individuals appear friendly on the surface but constantly drain your energy. Their lives revolve around drama, complaint, and endless demands for reassurance. Conversations with them leave you exhausted because their problems never truly seek solutions. Protecting your attention requires recognizing when someone's presence subtracts more from your life than it adds. Every moment spent on such individuals is time stolen from your growth. Every emotional reaction given to them weakens your ability to focus on your mission. The discipline required to ignore them is not easy. Human emotions naturally push you toward reaction. An insult provokes anger. Disrespect provokes defense. Accusations provoke explanation. But power belongs to those who can pause between stimulus and response. Philosophers of ancient resilience described a mental state where external chaos cannot penetrate the inner fortress of the mind. Achieving that state requires deliberate practice. When someone provokes you, notice the surge of emotion rising within you. Instead of acting immediately, allow that surge to pass like a wave. Remain still. Let the moment dissolve without reaction. Over time, this practice transforms your emotional structure. Insults begin to feel insignificant. Criticism loses its sting. You observe the behavior of others with calm distance rather than personal offense. At that point, something remarkable occurs. People realize they cannot manipulate you. Their attempts to provoke emotional responses fail repeatedly, and eventually they abandon the effort entirely. This is when you become truly difficult to control. In social interactions, this composure changes the entire dynamic. Most people operate impulsively, reacting to every shift in conversation. When you remain calm and deliberate, you immediately stand apart from the chaos around you. Conversations become strategic rather than reactive. Negotiations become balanced because you are not desperate for approval or agreement. Relationships become healthier because you choose them rather than clinging to them. The person who cares least about superficial validation often holds the greatest influence in any interaction. But this does not mean becoming indifferent to everything. It means caring deeply about what truly matters while refusing to waste emotional energy on what does not. Your mission deserves passion. Your goals deserve commitment. The people who prove their loyalty deserve your respect and warmth. Everyone else receives distance. When this mindset fully develops, you undergo a transformation that others can sense immediately. You walk with calm confidence because you no longer depend on constant approval. Your words become fewer but more deliberate. Your attention becomes focused rather than scattered. You stop competing for recognition because you understand that genuine influence does not need to chase attention. It attracts it naturally. This transformation does not happen overnight. It emerges through hundreds of small decisions. Each time you choose silence over reaction, you strengthen your discipline. Each time you refuse to argue with someone determined to misunderstand you, you reclaim your authority. Eventually the noise that once controlled your emotions becomes background static. You begin to realize that your inner world is a sovereign territory. Your thoughts determine its policies. Your focus determines its economy. Your attention determines who receives access to its gates. And once you recognize that sovereignty, you no longer surrender it carelessly. From that moment forward, your actions follow a different pattern. You speak only when it serves a purpose. You engage only when the outcome aligns with your goals. You move through the world with quiet certainty rather than constant explanation. Others may still shout, criticize, or attempt to provoke you. But their voices no longer determine your direction. Your focus remains fixed on growth, mastery, and the long arc of your legacy. And in that calm independence lies a level of power that few people ever truly achieve.